At Chipotle, we also have a playlist. Guacamole as it's being hand-mashed. The sizzle of adobo chicken on the grill. The chopping of onions and cilantro. We call our playlist Real. Order now. Chipotle. For real.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Buying a car shouldn't eat up your week. That's why Carvana made it convenient. Car buying that fits around your life, not the other way around. You can get pre-qualified for an auto loan in just a couple of minutes and browse thousands of quality car options, all within your terms, all online, all on your schedule. Turn car buying into a few clicks and not a full week's endeavor. Finance and buy your car at your convenience on Carvana. Financing subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply.
Hello and welcome to History for Weirdos.
We're your hosts, Andrew
and Stephanie,
and each week we're going to take you on a journey into the strange, obscure, and relentlessly entertaining corners of human history.
Now listen up, friends, because it's about to get weird. Welcome back, weirdos.
Welcome back.
We are here with another episode of History for Weirdos.
Absolutely. We're back, baby.
A slightly delayed episode.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. That's low-key my fault.
That's okay. It's usually my fault.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I'm okay with it. I'm sure the weirdos are okay with it. So this one's coming out a little later than normal, but we're happy to be here.
Absolutely.
And then before we jump into like a recommendation section, Andrew brought this up just before we recorded. We were, I think, honestly, a little nervous last time we recorded to talk about things like the ICE raids and what's going on in Palestine and all those horrors and atrocities. We were a little nervous to see how people would react. Usually the internet is not a kind place.
And we did get some unkind messages.
Of
but,
course.
But that's to be expected.
But you pointed out that like overwhelmingly people were appreciative and wanted to show their support as well.
Yes, absolutely. I was actually really pleasantly surprised by the overwhelming response from you guys on just how supportive you were in that, like, we're actually talking about these things. I mean, because like, I hate to say it, but it will be history, right?
Yeah.
And also that's the whole point, I think, of looking at history is to not make the same mistakes. And it's very clear that we're just like marching straight into the same mistakes that, I mean, governments made even the last century.
Yeah, that's a great point because obviously so many things happen in the world and we typically actually don't discuss a lot of current events. We don't discuss a lot of like politics. Like the point isn't to like tell you all what we think and feel all the time.
Right.
But with such blatant violations of like human dignity.
Right. The Constitution, human dignity, like human rights. It's
just impossible not to see how, wow, we as humans are making the same mistakes over and over again.
Absolutely. And it's like very upsetting for us, especially because that's all we do is look at history. And seeing this happen, it's like almost like it's insanity. I guess it is insanity because it is the same thing being repeated, the same mistakes, and it's beyond frustrating.
Yeah, but we're lucky that even though some people are dumb and say dumb shit, that because that's honestly the kindest thing I can say. I think because you all are history lovers, you get it.
You get it.
And your messages mean so much to us. And we just want to say thank you for letting us share our thoughts and opinions a little bit.
Yeah, you guys rock.
You guys are the best.
Yeah.
And then it's a hard left. Because I do want to...
I know where you're going with this too.
I do want to share with the weirdos because you are a community. I'm so excited. The latest season of The Gilded Age is back. It's a hard left.
Such a hard left. Oh my God.
Or is it because are we in our own Gilded Age?
Yeah, I'd say it's like even worse.
Even worse.
It's like a Gilded Age mixed with like the late Roman Republic. It's just so much fun.
It's like not, the cage isn't even fully gilded. It's like spray painted, some like cheap gold that's just like giving us like poisoning and we can like rub it off and be like, this is a fake gold cage.
It's terrible gilded.
It's terribly gilded.
Yeah, thank you.
It was way better gilded before, at least.
Yeah, in the late 19th century, at least it was like, I don't know.
Surface level pretty.
Right.
Right now, we don't even have that.
We don't.
But I wanted to bring up the latest season of The Gilded Age because I have been toying with the idea of doing an episode on one, like focusing on one of the real life people on the show, because what these 3 seasons have been based off is real feuds that were happening with old money and new money during this era. And it's not an era that we touch on a lot on the podcast, I realized, especially like the US Gilded Age. So weirdos, please let us know in the comments on Spotify or on Instagram, would a Gilded Age related episode be interesting? I know Tatiana and I have talked about it before, so that's 2 votes, me and Tatiana.
You know, I can actually create a poll on Spotify. So if you are listening or watching on Spotify, you can go ahead and vote there.
Yeah, let us know. And if you have any like cool specific angles that I should go with, let us know as well.
Okay.
So enough about my future episode. Andrew has prepared a lovely episode for us this week. Yes. I have my mushroom cacao hot chocolate.
Oh.
And I'm ready.
Oh, you're ready. You definitely are.
I'm ready for story time.
Well, story time is coming. And I know lately I've been kind of doing some crazier ones. This one is a crazy episode, but in that like it's so absurd.
Ooh,
and
absurdist.
Yeah, it's it's absurdist and isn't really consequential in the grand scheme of things. It's more of like this weird aberration of an event that took place in medieval Italy.
You know, we need that sometimes.
Yeah, we do, which is crazy because you all know I'm obsessed with ancient Rome. I'm obsessed with like ancient Italy. I know very little about medieval Italy. Like, it's actually kind of sad how little I know. I just know that it's incredibly fractured. Yeah. And
just kingdoms.
Just kind of going, all this crazy stuff happening. What that crazy stuff was, I don't even know half the time.
Can I say something about this?
Absolutely.
When we went to Rome together for the first time and we were following along with my professor in his class, and pretty much every monument in Rome, it has like the ancient history, the medieval history, and the modern. Yeah. And every time he would get to the medieval part, I could just like see you tuning out.
I just like didn't care anymore.
Whatever.
I was like, I don't know what it is with the ancient stuff. I'm like, yes, please more. And then the medieval stuff, I'm like, yeah.
Typically, especially with the monuments, it was a fortress.
Right. It's a fortress or a prison.
Fortress, prison. They scavenged marble and other stuff from really beautiful ancient stuff and made it ugly.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Right?
Yeah, and that's why.
So I'm interested to hear your take on medieval Italy.
Medieval fractured Italy.
Tell us.
So there is one incident in all of medieval Italy, right, that really stands out, and that's what I'm going to tell you guys today. So again, this is not because of its strategic importance, not for its scale, but because of its absurdity, like I mentioned. So we're going to be discussing the infamous War of the Bucket. It was a ridiculous and kind of rather comedic chapter from 1325 involving 2 fiercely competitive city-states, that of Modena and Bologna.
Oh, I think it's Modena?
Is it Modena?
I think so.
I've only read this and I've never actually like thought to look it up.
Do you know why I think it's Modena?
Why?
Because I think that's how I think there's an episode of Chef's Table that takes place there. And I think that's how they said it.
Okay, I'm going to say Modena though.
Okay.
I should have probably looked that up, but you know. And you know what's funny is this year is the 700th anniversary of this conflict.
What?
Yeah, 1325, 2025.
Duh, that makes sense. Yeah. So it's Modena and Bologna, you said.
Modena and Bologna. Yeah, they were 2 rival city-states in northern Italy. Mm. So at the heart of all of this and why it's called the War of the Bucket was a simple wooden pail.
Ah.
Yes.
A bucket.
According to legend, the war ignited when Modenese soldiers mischievously stole a bucket from a well in Bologna.
Okay. Yeah, that seems like a harmless prank.
Right. Leading the outraged Bolognese, Bolognese, like literally
Like the
that
pasta?
is like the pasta, to muster their armies in retaliation. Unfortunately, though, that popular legend is not true.
Oh.
Sadly enough, but I love that origin story, and that's why the name is given to this.
Okay.
But it was probably like after the conflict. They're like, oh, let's just kind of make this thing up.
We
I don't
need it
know
to be
why.
cuter.
Yeah, we want to be cuter. Yeah, it's for the PR. The bucket, though, or I should say, the bucket theft, however, remained the symbolic, albeit absurd, cause behind this memorable conflict. So ridiculous was the incident that became a symbol of pride and defiance for Modena.
Oh my gosh.
Modena.
We'll
I already
never
forgot
know.
how to say it.
Say it however you want to say it.
Modena, yeah. Who proudly displayed the stolen bucket as a war trophy, a relic that is still visible today.
Wow.
Yeah. This is just
Today,
a bizarre
700 years.
story of how two powerful medieval cities went to war, all because of a misunderstanding.
Wow. And I can't believe it's visible 700 years later.
Yeah, they still have the trophy.
So pasta bolognese is pasta from Bologna?
I didn't look that up, but that was what I assumed, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
So, again, 1325, we're in northern Italy. Landscape is defined by tension, rivalry, and shifting alliances amongst many different city-states, right? Really fractured alliances, I think is the best way I could put it. So, and this is very unlike the Italy that we know today. And also, by this time, long gone were the days of the Roman Empire, right? These city-states just frequently clashed in conflicts, and over reasons that were probably trivial to us today, but reflected deep-seated historical grievances, political rivalries, you name it. Amidst this fractured landscape, though, the two cities of Modena and Bologna found themselves locked into this conflict. So the broader backdrop to this is really interesting because there was this centuries-long conflict between powerful factions that kind of went beyond city-states, right?
Okay.
So, who has power? Ultimately over kind of Italy and Central Europe, right? You had the factions of the Guelphs and I never knew how to say this, the Ghibellines. So the Guelphs supported the papacy.
Papists.
They're papists.
Stinking papists.
They advocated for a powerful pope as a spiritual and temporal leader of all of Christendom.
Right. I have a feeling they won.
Sort of, yeah, I guess so. I mean, in this, who gives it? It doesn't matter. And
Okay.
the long scheme of these things is this one event is so inconsequential, but it's
Okay.
just absurd. So, wait, what did I say? Oh, the Guelphs supported the papacy, and they wanted the Pope to rule over Christendom, right? The Ghibellines, though, they conversely stood behind the Holy Roman Emperor, championing secular authority over ecclesiastical power.
That's weird.
Yeah. And these factions not only split regions, but also individual cities, right? As we have here. So here were the main factions involved in this. You had Bologna, right? It was a prosperous and politically influential city-state and primarily aligned with the Guelph faction, right?
Okay.
That's the Papists. Its position as a major intellectual and economic hub in northern Italy bolstered its alliance with the papacy. The Pope, in turn, granted Bologna substantial favor and political backing, reinforcing its status and fueling tensions with neighboring cities opposed to papal supremacy.
Damn.
In contrast, Modena, though smaller, was still determined and staunchly Ghibelline, or Ghibelline. I'm going to say Ghibellini. I like that more. The Modenese favored allegiance to the secular authority of the Holy Roman Emperor. This allegiance naturally set Modena on a collision course with Bologna. The names are absurd. I love them. So such ideological divides just, again, went beyond mere politics. They were just steeped in this weird rivalry that goes on for decades, if not centuries.
That's so sad because
Yes.
at the end of the day, you all still are peasants,
Pretty much, yeah.
right?
Yeah, they're just caught up, and it's just like this. It almost makes me think of like people high up, kind of like pulling the strings, right? Getting like the peasants to fight each other, so they don't look up; they just look at across at each other and down. Yeah,
well, I mean, it still works today.
It's a great tactic.
I guess it's a very smart tactic. Yeah.
Yeah. So those were the two main factions. What are the root causes behind this infamous incident, right?
Yeah.
So there is the popular legend, which we already went over, though the truth is significantly deeper, right? So beneath this symbolic episode was this tangled web, again, of political rivalry and territorial disputes going back generations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. These two cities were long-standing rivals. They regularly engaged in skirmishes and raids against each other that just exacerbated mutual animosity. Mm-hmm. So both cities vied fiercely over control over strategic lands and resources in northern Italy. So Modena sought to assert its independence and extend its territory to consolidate its political and economic influence. Bologna, fiercely protective over its privileges and territories, viewed Modena's ambitions as direct threats to its own regional authority. Okay. So it's kind of like they saw each other as like a zero-sum game. Mm-hmm. One gets more powerful, the other one gets less powerful in comparison. So these hostilities frequently erupted into just acts of violence and provocation, ranging from, border raids to political sabotage, all the good stuff. Mutual hatred had festered over decades of unresolved conflicts, right? There wasn't really one big thing. It was all a bunch of just little things that I'm not even going to go into.
And like you said, it's generational, so the hatred gets passed down.
Exactly. I think it snowballs.
Snowballs, that's a good way to say it.
Yeah. Historians thought that the theft of the wooden bucket was the spark that ignited this kind of well-prepared tinderbox of historical rivalry. But again, that's not the truth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's not about the bucket.
I know. And I really wish it was, but it's not.
But sadly, no.
Yeah, I think it's a really widely spread misnomer. So I've said this probably. I've already said it 3 times. But no, the war was not started because of this bucket.
But it is called the War of the Bucket.
But it is, yes, because the bucket was used as a trophy after the war.
Okay.
And war is a bit of a stretch, and we'll get into that in a second.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
No matter how you travel, it's good to have a plan. Some people plan every minute. No sleep, bus, museum, another museum. While others only plan to take it day by day. When it comes to your finances, a plan is just as important. You can count on Credit Karma to give you the insights you need to understand your options, so you can take charge of your financial path and find your way to money. Explore how you can make financial progress with confidence today. Intuit Credit Karma. Karma you can count on.
Oh, tasty high note. Oh, hi, don't mind me. I'm practicing my new baritone sax. I just heard PayPal's paying for people's stuff every day for 100 days, and there's 10 million up for grabs. All you have to do is use PayPal checkout online. So there's never been a better time to buy a few things off the old wish list. Like this leaf blower! PayPal could pay for your purchase. The Great PayPal Checkout.
No purchase necessary. Ends July 18th. See official rules at paypal.com/thegreatpaypalcheckout/terms. Participating merchants only must use PayPal Checkout online. Coverage of up to $100 and eligible purchases per card.
So when Modenese soldiers provocatively seized Bologna's wooden bucket from a city well, again, according to legend, it wasn't merely the theft of this everyday object, but a pointed insult to mock and undermine Bologna's dignity and authority. Or again, this was written after the case, right? Let's talk about the important figures. There's a few of them. So the first guy, Passerino Bonacolsi.
Oh.
or Bonacolsi.
Oh.
Yes.
Bonacolsi.
Yeah. We're just going to call him Passerino.
Okay.
Because one, that's easier for me to say, and I like it more. So he was the powerful and influential ruler of Modena.
Okay.
Or Modena. As a staunch Ghibellini leader, Passerino aligned closely with the Holy Roman Emperor, right? So Passerino, he's the head of Modena, and he's aligned with the Holy Roman Emperor.
Okay.
His strategic vision was focused on strengthening Modena's position within the incredibly complex political landscape of northern Italy, right? He wanted to make Modena like an actual power, like beyond just a regional power. He wanted to dominate northern Italy. So he was incredibly ambitious and politically shrewd, leveraging alliances carefully to bolster Modena's influence. And it was under his leadership that Modena aggressively pursued raids and provocations against Bologna, a strategy that would ultimately culminate in the one battle of this war, the Battle of Zappolino. His willingness to provoke his enemies symbolized the broader aggressive stance of Ghibellini politics at this time, at the beginning of the 14th century.
Damn.
Yeah. Then you have Pope John XXII.
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of Johns already, and this is like, we're in 1325.
Yeah, and there's already 22?
Yes, 22. So he's the 22nd. He's the head of the Catholic Church. He ruled, or I don't know, I guess what you would call it.
Yeah, it's almost like a reign.
It is kind of a reign, yeah. I'm going to say ruled. So he ruled the Roman Catholic Church from 1316 to 1334. So like this happened smack dab in the middle.
Okay.
So he embodied the Guelphs faction's ambition, emphasizing the supremacy of papal authority, like temporal as well as spiritual matters, right? So he's supposed to be, it's almost like I don't know if they even use this term yet, like
Pontifex Max?
Yeah, like I think that was a later term they kind of co-opted back into the papal authority, but that is kind of like what they're arguing.
Yeah.
Is that like he has supreme spirit, or like I guess supreme reign over spiritual matters, but also like how they manifest in the real world.
Yeah, so logistics.
Yes.
And spiritual logistics, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
He's head of logistics. That's what they're arguing.
Yeah, precisely.
So like they would argue like the Pope could be like, oh, you're the leader of this city-state. No, you're not. Like, you're the leader now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? Like, kind of like a super king.
Yeah, kind of. It reminds me in, like, the Iliad how Agamemnon is, like, the king of kings.
Oh, yeah.
So,
the
I think...
Basileus?
So, no. Basileus would have been, like, all the other ones. There was a specific, like, Mycenaean word, like, Enoch or something like that.
It's like the Basileus of the Basileus.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of what they're arguing here.
I think
like,
so.
not only is he a spiritual leader, but he is also, like, a king of kings.
Yeah, in a way.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's what the Guelph faction wants. Mm-hmm. So Guelph, Pope, Ghibellini, Holy Roman Emperor.
Okay.
So Pope John II, or 22nd, excuse me, was a controversial and assertive pope who vigorously sought to extend the papacy's political influence across all of Europe, but especially throughout Italy.
Wow.
Yeah. So John the 22nd, of course, supported Bologna and other Guelph cities in northern Italy, and as well as all of Italy, right? Mm-hmm. And his backing wasn't limited like merely to symbolic gestures. He employed substantial resources, financial, military, and diplomatic, to strengthen Bologna's position against its Ghibellini rivals, again, particularly Modena. So his strategic interventions contributed significantly to escalating tensions between the two city-states.
Right.
I mean, and his energetic involvement kind of illustrated how deeply the papacy was willing to engage in military struggles, even
in war, basically.
Yeah.
like skirmishes, violence.
Exactly.
To maintain their power, or expand it.
Yeah, exactly. To maintain or expand political power of allied states.
It's not sounding very spiritual to me.
It doesn't. No, it really doesn't, huh? And perhaps the most directly involved papal figure was actually a cardinal by the name of Bertrand du Pouget, or Pouget.
Ooh.
It's like Pouget.
Oh.
Pouget? Yeah. Bertrand du Pouget. So he was Johnny Boy 22nd's chief representative and legate in northern Italy at the time.
Okay.
So Cardinal du Pouget was not only a skilled ecclesiastical administrator, but also an aggressive and political actor. So entrusted by the Pope to solidify Guelph dominance all across northern Italy.
Damn.
Yeah, so he was like the Pope's boots on the ground, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So du Pouget's aggressive tactics notably inflamed tensions. So he engaged openly in military actions.
Oh my God.
Yeah, encouraging raids and harsh reprisals against cities loyal to the Holy Roman Emperor, particularly Modena. So his confrontational leadership style and explicit provocations deeply aggravated existing tensions, making open conflict nearly inevitable by this point.
So he's just fanning the flames.
He is.
He wants war.
Yeah, he wants war to happen. Together, these three figures, you have, again, going to the beginning, you have Passerino. Mm-hmm. He's the ruler of Modena. Then you have Pope Johnny Boy the 22nd.
Yeah.
And then Cardinal Bertrand du Pouget.
Right.
So these three figures didn't merely just represent like different political factions. They directly shaped and influenced the conflict itself, making decisions that steered their cities and factions into a battle remembered centuries later because of its absurdity, not because of like the amazing political prowess that they have.
Damn. They would not be happy to hear that.
Yes. So again, it's just really weird because we have this popular legend that states like this is how it happened or this is how like the event started, but we know that it's not true. Mm-hmm. So it's just really weird. So I have to like almost phrase it like, oh yeah, this is in retrospect, this is like what happened, but in reality it isn't. Mm-hmm. So
it's kind of like a myth.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the myth, exactly.
Like an origin myth.
So yeah, the myth goes that yes, the war began, this specific war, when a group of Modenese soldiers boldly ventured into Bologna and snatched just an ordinary wooden bucket from a well within the city's walls. The provocative act of this theft was interpreted by the Bolognese as a humiliating affront to their civic pride.
Of course. That's so interesting because it's a myth, but it tells you what would have been seen as provocative.
Exactly, right?
To them. Stealing a bucket.
Yeah, because that's like, it's not about the bucket, right? It's about the message.
It's about the message. It's what the bucket represents.
Yeah, man.
So it's like very audacious of them to like storm into their city's walls and be like, I could take this bucket if I want to. Like, who do they think they are?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Who do those Modenese think they are? And it's so funny too, because like when I was writing the notes for this episode, I literally was getting so confused between Modenese and Bolognese, you know?
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, like which one's which again? It's just like I had to think it over so many times. That's why I'm like, guys, this person is, you know,
on this side. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun.
Okay. Do you want to quiz me?
Sure. Yeah.
The Modenese.
So Modena, they want to back the Holy Roman Emperor. Yes. And I don't remember what their group... No, what their group is called. The Ghibellini.
The Ghibellini.
Yeah.
It's because it all sounds like a fairy tale.
It does.
And then obviously Bologna is backed already by the Pope.
Yeah, and they're the Guelph faction.
The Guelph faction. This does sound like a fantasy novel.
It really does. I think that's why when I was researching this, I'm like, is this like, am I getting punked? Like, is this some really elaborate prank? Like, I'm like, am I just gonna be reporting on something that's completely fake that someone just planted? Because it sounds so absurd.
You think someone planted it knowing that one day you'd
not actually, but like that's what it felt like when I was doing the research.
One day Andrew's gonna want to do an episode on this. He's gonna look like such a fool.
That would be some CIA level like shenanigans.
That's a long con.
I mean, like for a very minimal payout.
Oh my God, the comments you're going to get, babe. Like, none of that's true. None of it. There's no Ghibellinis. That's a cookie brand. That's not a faction. Yeah. Okay, so you were telling us the myth of these soldiers, Modenese soldiers, and their outlandish behavior of stealing the Bolognese bucket.
Yes.
But that's the myth.
Exactly. So, like, this, it's just so ridiculous. I mean, again, like, and we don't really know, like, what was happened is probably, like, raids on one side, then, or, like, a escalating raid on the other side, right? And just going back and forth. That's probably, like, how this whole thing started. But, you know, I do find it really interesting that Modena proudly kept and displayed the bucket, you know, after the conflict as a war trophy, just, like, demonstrating very clearly that this was a, like, deep symbolic gesture, right? And the provocations carried, like, significant political and emotional, like, weight during this incredibly volatile era.
Yeah, it sounds like a very volatile time to be in Italy.
Yeah, exactly. The bucket really, again, is not even a big deal. It's not a big deal, but it's just like what it represented. And that was a direct and public insult to Bologna's sovereignty and their dignity overall. It's so absurd. It's just so absurd. So there was only one battle during this entire war.
Okay.
And I mentioned it earlier, but that's the Battle of Zappolino. This happened on November 15th, 1325. The one battle of this war. And it was named after the small village where this engagement took place. And despite, like, this humorous kind of, like, I don't know what vibe that I've been kind of, like, covering it as. God, that does it sound like I didn't understand English there. But, like, the tone of this, I should say, is, like, kind of humorous and, like, sardonic and absurd.
Right.
There was, like, real consequences to this. And, I mean, like, there was a battle and people died. So, like, you know, I also want to say, like, they're like, people being absurd have, you know, especially in government and escalating conflicts, have real life consequences that are not funny.
Yeah, I mean,
interesting, right?
Yeah, there's a battle that's not good. People lose their family members, and over what, right? Over what the bucket symbolizes, which is like, my leader's better than your leader.
Right, exactly.
It's sad.
No, it's so absurd. Bologna, confident in superior numbers and supported by papal backing, mobilized, like, a pretty impressive army for the time. So historical accounts indicate that they fielded approximately 30,000 infantry and 2,000 cavalry.
Wow.
Significantly outnumbering Modena's forces, which comprise of only 5,000 infantry and evenly matched at 2,000 cavalry.
Wow.
So they have 1/6 the infantry numbers.
That makes sense because Bologna had the Pope's resources.
They had the Pope's resources, right. And that's significant to this time. So the numerical disparity favored Bologna, obviously, suggesting that, you know, this should be a very easy victory for Guelph forces. However, despite this numerical superiority, Bologna was about to discover that raw numbers of troops alone would not guarantee victory, as countless of generals could probably tell you in the past, right?
Good point.
You look at, I mean, pretty much any battle Alexander the Great fought against the Persian Empire, or like the Battle of Thermopylae even. I mean, there's so many times where, like, or even pretty much like all of Caesar's battles, that's just like ancient history. I mean, you could, like, so many times, if you have like a very clever general, right, and who uses the terrain and is brilliant, they can overcome pretty large odds. And that's what happened.
Spoilers.
Sorry.
Meet the most capable CRV Honda has ever dreamed of. The all-new CRV Trail Sport Hybrid. With all-terrain tires and available enhanced traction control, it's built for wherever the day takes you. Heated front seats and a heated steering wheel, ideal for winter drives and crisp early starts. And with generous cargo space, it's ready for big gear and even bigger getaways. The CRV Trail Sport Hybrid. Learn more at honda.com/CRV.
En momentos intensos necesitas una hidratación que esté a tu nivel. Hidrátate con Liquid IV, científicamente diseñada para reponer rápidamente electrolitos y líquidos perdidos durante tu ejercicio. Hidrata tu ejercicio favorito con Liquid IV, formulada con 3 veces la cantidad de electrolitos que la bebida deportiva líder del mercado, más 8 vitaminas y nutrientes. También disponible sin azúcar. Abre, vierte, vive más. Conoce más en liquidiv.com.
This episode is brought to you by Buffalo Trace Distillery. Powerful yet smooth. Contained but never tame. Proudly going their own way, but never going alone. This is the spirit inside Buffalo Trace Bourbon. Made at Buffalo Trace Distillery, the world's most award-winning distillery. Buffalo Trace is always perfectly untamed. Distilled, aged, and bottled by Buffalo Trace Distillery, Franklin County, Kentucky. 90 proof, 45% alcohol by volume. Learn more at buffalotracedistillery.com. Please drink responsibly.
So, remember, Modena was led by that guy, Passerino. And I'm not even going to say his last name. Oh, actually, no, I am. Every time
you don't have to. We know who Passerino is.
Passerino Bonacolsi.
Okay,
That's
Passerino
right.
Bonacolsi.
He had invested carefully into a strategy. So, again, remember I told you he was a pretty smart guy. And he even researched like psychological warfare as well.
Wow, very advanced.
He was very advanced for his time. So the Modenese troops were very motivated, and strategically prepared. So this is what happened. Modena's forces executed a well-planned strategy marked by surprise tactics. And their initial movements took advantage of the terrain, right, which is always very important in these like medieval battles, and also the timing, right, catching Bologna's commanders completely off guard and creating just a bunch of confusion in their ranks. So the battle rapidly just turned into chaos for the Bolognese forces as Modena pressed their advantage, leveraging like superior just cohesion. So very much so, like kind of in like, if you think like spiritually, is very much more like the Roman legions against like just like a horde of like kind of like assembled people.
I see.
So the efficiency and organization of Modena's troops allowed them to exploit weaknesses very quickly. They breaking Bologna's ranks early on in the engagement, even though they were severely outnumbered. Modena's coordinated and rapid assault, kind of like going like just charging headlong, and then also from multiple sides. It's the best way I can kind of put it. I'm not a military historian, so I don't really know like tactics of the battle, but just know that they were just really superior in the way that they commanded the troops, and they just overwhelmed the much larger army.
Wow, that's so impressive.
Yeah. So it was a decisive outcome. The battle only lasted about 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
Which is pretty quick.
Yeah.
For that many people gathered in one area, right?
Yes.
Modena's forces had conclusively routed Bologna's far larger army. Their defeat was decisive, overwhelming, and humiliating. So a incredibly stinging rebuke to their numerical confidence and political bravado, right? Especially they're like, we're going to get the bucket.
Yeah, I mean, they may have gone in too confident, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. So the victorious Modenese soldiers, flushed with the thrill of triumph and keenly aware of their symbolic victory, pressed their advantage. They chased the fleeing Bolognese forces all the way back to Bologna's gates.
Wow.
Yeah, taunting their rivals with a demonstration of dominance and superiority.
Oh my gosh.
Even though they were severely outnumbered.
Very bold.
It was really bold, yeah. The fact that they did that. I mean, this battle, like, was insane because, like, again, Bologna was so overwhelmingly, like, overpowered compared to Modena, but they lost. And then they got, like, I mean, they had to book it all the way to their city's gates. And thousands of them died or were captured.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's insane. And I think this is where Modenese troops, like, they were kind of like, you know, there's the city gates, but there's still like things outside the city gates, right?
Yeah.
Like houses and like
some
even,
farms,
like farms
or
and
mill.
like, yeah. And like, I mean, yeah. And like, even like communities and whatnot. Right. And this is probably where they seized the wooden bucket. It was after the fact.
As a victory trophy.
They probably saw a well and they're like, let's snatch this bucket.
Wow, how lame.
It's pretty lame. Yeah. But I guess, you know, they couldn't go to the city and they didn't have siege equipment. So they're going to be like, well, yeah,
but
let's get a bucket.
How funny that a bucket would represent so much that it's like proof. You know, they're going back home and it's like proof. Like, see, we got them.
Hey, you know, we weren't able to get inside the city, but you know what? We found some treasure. And by treasure, a wooden bucket.
A wooden bucket outside of the city. Isn't that cool?
Exactly. It's just funny. They just like were able to take this trivial object and transform it into this like enduring symbol of like pride and deliberate humiliation of Bologna.
Wow. Yeah. Even with 30,000, you couldn't beat us.
Exactly. We only fielded 5. This, and again, this was definitely a deliberate humiliation. And this was supposed to be like, you know, like a great thing for Modena, whatever. And then a terrible loss for Bologna.
Right.
Like, oh, they got this bucket. And it was, I mean, because it also, like, it was a very swift victory over what should have been a victory on the other side.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
I mean, and it's kind of just wild that Modena, still to this day, like, displays this in their town hall.
I want to see it.
I know. We've never been to northern Italy, and now I really want to go.
Yeah.
We'll have to go to Modena. We'll have to go to both
there's so much
cities.
to see. Yeah.
Definitely. Historical accounts indicate that about 2,000 people died from the result of this fighting, with obviously the vast majority of that coming from Bologna. So the rapid, chaotic nature of the Battle of Zappolino left a significant mark, like deeply affecting the local populations and demonstrating the grim reality of, you know, behind a war remembered for its like supposed comedic origins, which aren't even true. And it's just, I think to me, it's like, yes, we're highlighting this because it's an absurd event, but at the same time, it's also like a warning to us that, hey, like if you let your leader's power just go unchecked and you let their ego run wild, like bad things can actually happen.
Yeah. It escalated quickly.
It escalated really quickly. And it just, the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, oh, I see present day parallels.
Of course.
So Bologna's losses were incredibly devastating, as they're like, again, because they should have won. Right, they had a huge numerical advantage. They lost thousands of soldiers in a day within 2 hours, basically, of fighting, and it was humiliating. This was a deep psychological defeat, and probably for not only Bologna but as well as like neighboring city-states that were allied in the Guelph faction.
Yeah, that would definitely shake their confidence.
Yeah. Whereas on the other side with Modena, their soldiers returned home triumphantly, celebrating decisive victory.
Bolstered their confidence.
Yes. Central to their triumph was the notorious bucket itself. Proudly paraded through Modena as a war trophy. So even though this mundane object, again, was just so mundane, to them it was this immense grand trophy.
Yeah, it's a symbol of the little guy winning, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Kind of like a David and Goliath kind of epic. It's kind of what it feels like. So in the immediate aftermath, like the battle notably altered like local power dynamics, unsurprisingly, right? So Modena's victory significantly bolstered its prestige and regional influence. Although relatively brief, Modena's newfound dominance forced neighboring states and territories to reconsider their diplomatic positions and allegiances, at least like temporarily, right?
Yeah.
Conversely, Bologna experienced a sharp decline in prestige and authority, unsurprisingly. Like its leadership faced internal scrutiny and criticism following their humiliating defeat. Though the Guelph-aligned city retained its regional importance, its image suffered considerably in the short term, leaving Bologna vulnerable and forced to reevaluate its diplomatic approach towards surrounding city-states from a position of weakness, not that of strength like Modena. Modena did have a decisive victory, that is like for sure, but this battle and the war at large did very little to like resolve like underlying animosities, and instead probably stoke the flames for further conflict.
That's so unfortunate. There was no progress, really.
Yeah. Like there weren't any large scale battles like the Battle of Zappolino, But peace remained fragile at best, and there was persistent tension, mistrust, and of course, you had intermittent violence, though on a much smaller scale. And again, like, this wasn't even unique to this area. Like, all of Italy, and I shouldn't even say Italy, like all of Italy and Germany at this time were fractured in these tiny city-states, and it was crazy.
A scary time to live.
Exactly. Just like these tiny principalities or kingdoms or republics or what have you, right?
Yeah,
all
you're
just
vulnerable.
kind of vying for like these like regional power.
Like, ooh, I got a little bit bigger.
Exactly.
Oh, now I'm like shrinking way back.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of like the tide, like going in, going out. Yeah, this battle, war, did not end conflict, and instead just like underscored the inherent instability of the region. And this War of the Bucket just, I think, vividly illustrates like the intensity and just absurdity like inherent in medieval rivalries amongst city-states. Like, it's just kind of funny because like maybe with medieval history there's just going to be more sources than ancient history, but like sure, like in ancient history you do have city-states, like especially amongst the Greeks, right? They're always like bickering and stuff, but you never had it like, I feel like, to this level.
Yes.
You know,
it seemed very tense.
It seems very tense, and the fact that it was so prolonged.
Rated T for Teen. Each year, thousands of adults lose their shred. It's an epidemic simply known as shred loss. But it doesn't have to be this way, because rekindling your shred is as easy as playing the new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. With new parks, cross-platform multiplayer, and sick new game modes, we can put an end to shred loss everywhere. Get the new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 and show the world that the shred's not dead. Get Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 available now.
Hey there, travelers. Kaylee Cuoco here. Sorry to interrupt your music, great artist BT Dubs, but wouldn't you rather be there to hear it live? With Priceline, you can get out of your dreams and into your dream concert. They've got millions of travel deals to get you to that festival, gig, rave, sound bath, or sonic experience you've been dreaming of. Download the Priceline app today, and you can save up to 60% off hotels and up to 50% off flights. So don't just dream about that trip. Book it with Priceline.
Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Ray-Ban Meta glasses are powered by Meta AI, so you can get real-time answers.
Hey, Meta, how bougie is Jade Garden?
It's a trendy spot.
What's a color that pairs with this top?
Consider dark, earthy colors, charcoal or black.
What are some good first date topics?
Consider discussing favorite travel destinations or your favorite books.
Get suggestions, inspiration, and answers from your glasses. Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Iconic style meets Meta AI.
I think it was a very dangerous time in general, even within your city-state. I think it was very dangerous.
Exactly. And you did have like periods, like I think one period in particular was the Peloponnesian War, right? Where you had like Athens versus Sparta. That's probably one like notable exception where like they're really going at it. But besides that, like this was a lot of animosity for decades, maybe over a century, like extended period of time. Constant, exactly. Entire generations would know nothing but animosity and conflict. It's wild. Modena and Bologna's willingness to engage in brutal like battle over just seemingly trivial provocation speaks volumes about the volatility of this era, and I cannot stress that enough.
Yeah.
It's just wild. I don't know how else to put it. It's just like, also, it kind of highlighted the broader reality of how these really just seemingly minor incidents can stoke a flame and can make, you know, like especially with underlying political tensions being unresolved, they can make things really bad really fast. And, you know, historians or, you know, people like the legend, I should say, like emphasizes that the bucket itself was like just like, I guess a symbolic spark. I guess it was like a spark after the fact, I should say, right? Between these political territorial rivalries, and like the War of the Bucket, like the name suggests, like is not actually about the bucket at all. I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but it's so like I need to like hammer that point home that like this wasn't about the bucket.
Yeah.
That's just like, you know, they took a bucket at the end. They're like, oh, cool, this is our political trophy. And then afterwards, like people were like, oh, it was because of the bucket.
Yeah.
It makes for a better story, honestly.
It is one that I've seen come up a lot in like Reddit or different history accounts, different posts. And I think it is very misleading. Like it does sound like it's a lot sillier and like this town was fighting this town over a bucket and then they broke out into war.
Yeah.
But we've had other episodes like this, kind of like the cheese riot.
Right.
And the Emu War. Like even when they are absurd on the surface, there's still tension and violence beneath that led to those things.
Absolutely. There always is, no matter what.
It's almost like the silliness is a way of coping with it.
That's such a good point. I never really thought about it like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the silliness would be like a great coping mechanism.
Yeah, kind of like how a lot of people in law enforcement or ER doctors or ER staff are known for having a dark sense of humor.
Right. You have to.
To like cope with all the terrible things you see. It's almost like humanity does that with certain acts of violence. We're like, it's funny.
Yeah.
Right? There's a bucket. That makes it funny.
It's okay now.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay. Oh, yeah. Like I wrote more about like how absurd this is, but I think I'm just gonna skip it because it's like I feel like I'm just beating a dead horse at this point. So I think maybe the greatest like significance of the War of the Bucket is like this historical anecdote demonstrating the irrationality and inherent absurdity that can underpin like human conflict. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, what we just touched on.
Yeah. And, while medieval warfare often revolved around strategic, religious, or economic motivations, the humorous legend of the bucket serves as a stark reminder of how, irrational factors like pride, symbolism, insult, and honor can motivate people and states into devastatingly serious action.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think this event encapsulates human nature's paradoxical tendency to escalate just these trivial provocations into serious disputes with devastating consequences.
Yeah.
And as history repeatedly demonstrates, irrationality frequently shapes the course of events, which I have found more and more true, honestly. The more
particularly irrational fear.
Yes, irrational fear especially.
Fear is a big
motivator,
unfortunately.
Yeah. So we have to reflect, I think, critically on contemporary conflicts too, and recognize that sometimes absurd foundations of where these serious conflicts rest.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that it talks a lot, or it demonstrates how pride and honor can lead to violence. The story, funny enough, there's no romance. It reminds me of Romeo and Juliet with the two feuding families, and it's like, what are you feuding over?
Right.
I don't think they even know what they're feuding over. They just know that for their pride and their honor, they need to be feuding.
Yeah, exactly.
It gave similar energy.
It did. I thought that too, actually, funny enough. I didn't write in my notes, but...
And both stories take place in northern Italy.
Exactly.
So interesting.
Isn't one of them... Isn't Modena?
Oh, no, it's in Verona.
Verona, that's what it is. Verona.
Mm-hmm.
Modena, Verona. I think that's probably why.
Mm-hmm. Somewhere else I want to see.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's it. There wasn't, I picked the story not because there's any sort of, big sort of consequence from, the fighting itself.
Right.
There aren't any major changes that happen. It is literally just absurd violence for really nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of it's a silly story, but at the same time, even silly stories, silly events can have serious consequences.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that the everyday people seem to have gotten the brunt of those consequences.
I think so.
I don't think the Pope or the Holy Roman Emperor really cared.
Yeah, they're just peons. They're pawns in their game of power.
Well, I really appreciate you shedding light on that story because I was always, like I said, misled, I think, about what it was. So it's nice to know the truth and to know that the bucket isn't the bucket.
Yeah, there is a bucket and Modena still has the bucket, but it wasn't the War of the Bucket was not started because of a bucket. The bucket happened after the fighting was already over.
And even then, it's still just a symbol.
Yeah.
It's just a symbol, and it really was sort of inherited or taught rivalry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's it, weirdos. That is the story of the War of the Bucket.
You have helped scratch my curiosity with that one. I for years was wondering what that was about because it's always popping up online. I'm sure the weirdos have seen it before too.
Oh yeah, it's always in one of those lists, and I saw it once and I was like, okay, I have to just do this.
Just
story.
get it over with. Let's find out what's the truth here.
Yeah, exactly. And oh my god, the research on this, I had to go back and forth. I was like, all these names. I'm like, oh my god, like it's so funny because like when I'm doing research for like an episode on like especially a topic that I'm like really passionate about, it's like I'm like going in deep, and here I'm like, oh my god, this is like. It's so absurd. Like it is like should I even do an episode on this? Like I'm not sure it's gonna make for a great story.
It definitely is your ADHD showing when you said like all the names, because you remember to me the most like out there names from ancient history, but because you're interested in it, your brain remembers it.
That's true.
Since this was not as interesting to you, your brain like wants to toss it out. It's very ADHD.
Oh my god, so true.
Versus a neurotypical person can kind of consistently remember names at a more like moderate pace.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, weirdos, I hope you guys enjoyed the story. I hope you guys enjoyed it more than I did. I have to say, like, I feel so bad, but I'm like, no, this is definitely one of my least favorite, like, historical subjects I've ever, like, researched.
The medieval period has never been a favorite of yours.
It hasn't, but I did do an episode, this was years ago now, on Edward the Black Prince.
That's right.
Who I did thoroughly enjoy that one.
Yeah.
That one was
that's
interesting.
a good throwback.
Yeah, it's a great throwback.
Weirdos, if any of you are much more interested in this era, let us know if you have any context, because I almost feel like it's a different culture.
It is.
The things that they valued and the way they saw things. So if you have any historical context to share on the War of the Bucket, we would love to know.
Or especially if you want to change my mind about medieval history, or especially like Italian medieval history, and you have like events that you think I would find interesting, and you're like, oh, this is going to change your mind, Andrew.
That's a good challenge.
Yeah, I would love to hear them.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, babe. Thanks for sharing that episode. And before we say goodbye, we have some reminders. Rate, review, subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
Share an episode with a friend or a loved one. And I just realized I'm wearing a hat. You can't see it if you're listening, but if you're watching the video.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that bad boy.
You can buy our merch.
Yeah, which will be in our show notes.
In the show notes.
Yes.
Thank you so much, weirdos.
Thank you so much, weirdos.
Until next time.
Until next time. Adios.